Hello and welcome to this Excel help video. Today I want to show you the find and replace function, which you can find up here under select. There's a find and replace. Replace is the one that you want to use. This is particularly handy when you've got a whole bunch of data, but you have to use it carefully because it can do things that you're not quite expecting and cause a lot of trouble that you might not pick up. So let me just show you how it works. I've written a bunch of names. You can see my name, Summer instead of Sumner, but you can see the different names that they've got in the list and how this works. So I will show you how they work. Let's say you've got a whole list of names and you want to change them. So let's just say, for example, this Richard Sumner, you find should be something different and you want to change the name to Rick, for example, or if you want to change all the Richards to Rick, or you want to change all the first names, you want to find a particular name or whatever and you want to change it, you can do that. So if you want to change all the Richards to Rick, you can select the whole list of names, you can say find and replace, and then you can say what do you want to replace, and you can say, for example, Richard, and then you can say here we want to change it to Rick, and you can replace all, and it'll change it all to Rick. The problem there, obviously, you've got to bear in mind, if you've got two Richards, it's going to change all of them. So you need to make sure that the data that you're changing is correct. You can also go one step further and you can even change formulas. So let's just say this formula, at the moment, we're looking at column D and we want to change that to column E. Sometimes in this case, you just change to column E and drag it down. It's much easier, but let's just say that the formulas weren't lined up that nicely and you've painstakingly gone and done all of these formulas, and now all of a sudden you need to change it to E and it's quite difficult. You can actually go to find and replace and go back to replace, and then you can have a look in the formula and go, we want to change the D's to E's, replace all, and there it's now looking at the new column. The downside of that is sometimes you might have a longer formula with other text and stuff in it, and they'll change every time it finds a D, it'll change it to E. That might become problematic. Or you may find that certain parts of the formula you don't want to change and other parts you do. So you've really got to be a little bit sneaky here. Let's just say I want to change it back to D again, but you only want to change the first E, not the second one for some reason. If you've got a longer formula and you've got various references, you only want to change the first one. Then what you actually need to do is you actually need to go in and put in enough of the formula so that it actually knows what to look at. So now it's only looking for where the text where it finds equals if open bracket $E. So it's checking for that in the formula, so it won't pick up the second one. Then you can type in the same thing again. What are we doing here? Dollar and D, and now you can say replace all, and now it only changes the first ones. Let's just see if it did it correctly. Now you see it's changed all the first ones to D and not the second one. So now if we want to change the second one, we can go to replace again. Now we have to pull out a patch of the formula for the second half. So now we put, for example, equals that one, that $E, and then we can actually just copy that again below, and we can do column D. So now it's looking for the equals bracket. It's looking for that part of the text to change, which means it doesn't find it at the beginning, so it's only going to change the second one. So if we now say replace all, find 10, close, now it's gone back to the D again. So that find and replace is useful. I mean, here I've done it with a little bit of data. You might find that you've got thousands and thousands of rows. You just have to be careful because, as I said, if you're replacing names, for example, if you're looking for Richard to change to Rick, you're going to change all Richards, even if it's not necessarily the right person. So you do have to be careful. You've got to think through this. You've got to think, what's the best way to isolate the text I'm looking for in order to replace? If you try and replace text in a formula and the formulas don't make sense, it's going to throw up an error. It's not going to let you. So you've got to make sure that you understand. If you've got various references and other pages or whatever, and some you want to change the D's, but it's not all the D's, then you've got to go through carefully and put in enough of the formula so that it knows which D to change, as opposed to just changing everything. So it's a useful function, but as I said, it can be quite error prone. And the other thing which you notice is it just makes the changes. It doesn't necessarily tell you what changes it's made. It tells you how many it's made. You want to keep an eye on that, because sometimes in the past I've been making a load of changes and I know I've got 5,000 rows, and every time I do it, I should see 5,000 changes. But sometimes, for example, you see 5,020 and then you go, hold on, what were the other 20? And it's best to go back, have a look and see if you can streamline it some more and make sure you're making the right number of changes. Because this is very useful to make a lot of changes very quickly, but it can go wrong if you're not monitoring it properly. So yeah, I wish you all the best for that. Thank you very much and goodbye.